son? Where'd you find this?
Buckle up, buttercups. It's time to get down to business. Oh, yeah. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Totally legit.
All right, folks, welcome back. It is once again the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast, returning for their second time. We have an expert on all of the Mafia sports connections that I love to hear him rant about. Please welcome back to the show after like a 2-year hiatus, Erik Henkelman.
That's right. Thank you. I'm glad to be back, and I had to wear my Mafia jewelry for you today to make sure
it's perfect.
It's all good.
The aesthetic is perfect. When we had you on last time, what was it, Roberto Calvi? It was mob related, right?
Yeah, it was mob related. It was that I can't remember his name, but it was the guy that they thought committed, and it was like, oh,
yeah, it was Roberto Calvi. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we may have like briefly touched on it, but can you just kind of explain what how your fascinations of Mafia and sports come together so perfectly with like the sports betting scandals? Can you just kind of explain like at what point in your life where you're like, I like sports and I like the mob? Who would have known there was such fun overlap?
Honestly, what I think really lined it out for me was when I investigated Kobe Bryant and his mishandle of like that case, and how the NBA just covered it up and they just let it happen. So it was just very, I guess, mob related in the fact that it's just this corporation that's like, hey, don't upset them. They're going to protect all their stuff. Like, everything's good. They're going to protect it because they don't want it to get out. When I read I remember reading just about Kobe, and I'm like, oh, that happened. Like, that's in the, legal court documents. Like, this happened and they're not telling us. Oh. So then it was just, I was like, I love the mob. I'm a big dork about it. And this just opened up for me even more,
So can you give like, I don't think, definitely people who listen to this show will not be surprised when we talk about something like sports fixing that goes back at least 100 years. But there's many elements of all forms of entertainment, of which sports is one, where we think it was one thing, but it was really a way for people to move money around or human traffic, or like there's all these different things that it ends up getting used for because it's the perfect cover. It's this huge spectacle. A lot of money's running through it, and a lot of people could use that type of distraction and legitimacy for their own personal gains. So could you kind of just also of your knowledge, like explain the complexity or context of sports betting as we get into the newest thing that just broke?
Well, so I think there's, I guess it's just how far you want to go in, because there's sports betting where it's legal. You have like every app, FanDuel, like we can bet on anything we want to.
Right.
It's when you're making these prop bets and you're fixing bets to make sure that the money line is bigger, and everything is made really overseas. That's where it is, because with the U.S. law and gambling, just they're going to cap everything in. So all the money is made overseas. And so that's really the line that follows. And, oh man, I just blanked out.
Well, just like, if you could kind of go back and hit on other instances of sports fixing where, people were making insane amounts of money, or there was like some real serious crime.
Okay. So really what I think, it started in, I think the 60s and 70s, and Henry Hill, the guy from from Goodfellas. they got in and they did point shaving in an NCAA basketball game.
Now, what is point shaving?
Point shaving is where you're gonna the athlete, they know that there's a bet. And so it's like, okay, this player's supposed to average 20 points, or they're expected to get 20 points that game. And so they're going to score 14 points. They're going to miss some free throws. They're going to miss some baskets just to keep that bet accurate for everybody else. And so that was the point shaving. And so that's what Henry Hill in the 70s, they got college athletes and they were like, we want you to not win by this much, beat the spread, and they would get into it because these college athletes was just so susceptible and they needed it. They
needed the money. Yeah.
They didn't have anything. And even too, like in the early NBA days, like pro athletes didn't make money, like they were just pro athletes. It's kind of just like, I mean, they were kind of construction workers in a way, they were just out there just doing things and
completely destroying their bodies. Yeah. Exactly, for nothing. Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of what happened. And everybody was, it wasn't until really like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson that like changed the league. And then it was like, okay, now this is commercial. And then Michael Jordan comes in. Now we really can't do anything.
Serious money behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they have to really protect, the league and the players. And so really this is where, capitalism plays a role. It's like this, the NBA, this corporation, they will protect the league. And to do that, they have to protect players and basically blame players or individuals to say, hey, this is a one person doing this. Everybody else is an angel. Everybody else is great. It's only one person doing this. And they've done that, I would say, honestly, a handful of times I could think about since like the early 2000s where that's happened. I forget his name, but there is this player for the Toronto Raptors and he got a lifetime ban from the NBA because he was point shaving. It's, I think, Jonte Porter. I think it was his Jonte Porter. He got a lifetime ban.
Porter.
Good. He got a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
And because he was shaving. So it's, and the NBA, they blame it on just one players. I think.
Right.
What really got me into this, and with my mob background and my sports betting, or just my admiration of sports and how that comes into sports betting, is I really once I learned about when Tim Donaghy, the NBA referee, this is back in early 2000s, and this is like really where it took off. Tim Donaghy was an NBA referee and he was just placing bets with his friends because he had inside information. And then his friend had, friends in the mob. Like he knew people. And it just, passed around. And, Tim Donaghy tried to quit. And there, the Mafia came and was like, no, you can't quit. Like if you do, you will die. Like we will kill you. And so he continued gambling and doing that for, I think, 3 years. And when he got busted, it was all from just a wiretap, and the NBA came out and blamed it all on him and said there's no referee doing this, no one's colluding with him, everything's perfect. And Tim Donaghy is like, well, let me just tell you that's not what happened. It's very interesting. It's so saucy. It's so saucy.
It is very juicy. Yeah.
I just, because it's just this corporate structure, and then you just have this one referee that they're trying to shame, and he's like, nope. Let me tell you what's up. Let me show you some of these things that I've done. Let me show you how I wagered these bets and how I did it. And it's very different from that era to what it is now.
Sure.
What just happened now. So it's what I think So the referee gambling, when Tim Donaghy was gambling on games, he wasn't really fixing games, like Jonte Porter was doing, because he's only doing it with the knowledge that they have. So, for example, they're like, okay, Allen Iverson, we need them to score, or, we need them to lose. So I don't want them to score. So I'm going to be super crucial on Allen Iverson and give him fouls, make him go sit on the bench.
Anything he does to get him out.
Yeah. And so yes, it is manipulation in a way, but you are manipulating something that you don't have control over. You're just trying to help out your bet in this sense, versus where Jonte Porter, he was missing baskets on purpose. I think that's just so different. Yes, granted, Tim Donaghy, that was going on for 3-5 years, I think, before anybody found out.
Wow.
And this, I think, recently with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, that was a year, it was a year going on. And it's just it's very interesting. I was reading something earlier today, and okay, so what's happening right now with the NBA and the betting case, Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, that went on from December 22 to March 24, and wagered approximately close to $600,000.
So not a ton, not an insane amount of money.
It's just, it's very stupid, because you're like, these athletes are getting hundreds of millions of dollars. For example, Terry Rozier, he got a contract for $160 million, and he's making a $200,000 bet, and that's like, exactly. It's like, what do you do? And so that's where it's just like, you look at the psychology and it's like, well, they're athletes, they're competitive, they want to win something, they're going to do something. So anyways, sorry to get off that topic, but with Tim Donaghy, that was going on from October 2003 to April of 2007, and the money total in their time was $81 million.
Right.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, considerably more. On every scale, considerably larger. Yeah. That's
a big deal. And I think, too, because it's certain players, it's Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, what's his name? Damon Jones. It's 3 people, 4 people. So it's very small. Like, the teams don't extend that much. When you have a referee doing it, that's across the whole league.
For sure.
He's fixing everything. So, I understand where they're saying, yes, it's different. It's not actually manipulating and gambling how NBA players have done it, but also because he was a ref and he was at the top of the pyramid, he could just do so much more and make so much more money.
Well, and again, the money that was at stake was a lot more, and the threat against his life. Yeah. You know what I mean? In this new scenario, the mob isn't pressing a gun to the back of anyone's head and being like, if you don't keep doing this, we'll kill you and your family.
Right. And that's the thing. And it was very interesting. I was, watching and studying up on, this gambling incident, and with Michael, I want to say Francesi, but it's Franzesi, I think.
I know. I'll pull up a picture. I know who you're talking about.
He was also in Goodfellas. He was a real mafia guy, and he served his time, and he came out, and he's now, does media, he speaks at universities, all these things. I love this guy. He is a real Mafia G. He is OG. He tells it how it is. He is great.
He was there for the craziest parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell, when he talks to you, he's like, oh, this dude's real. This dude's real. It's real. So he's talking just athletes are so easy. They're so easy to manipulate and get on your side, because they all have that competitive edge. They all have it. That's why they're there. And an athlete, let's say they get into debt with a bookmaker for 50 grand. This bookmaker has a connection with the mafia. He lets, a captain, Michael Franzese, know. And Michael is like, well, you know what? Let him get into $300,000 in debt. Let's make it deeper before you bring him to me.
Yeah.
And then that's when they switch sides. They cross the line without even thinking about it. Like, I mean, they're talking, he was saying, he didn't name any, he's like, I can't name this person, but he's talking about what he did, for the NFL and the Jets back in the 90s. Like, I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Well, dude, this is something that you and I have tweaked on about the entire time we've known each other. But like when you start looking, definitely in the arenas, no pun intended, of entertainment, the mafia is deeply entrenched. Like Hollywood, just look up the history of Hollywood. There wasn't a time until recently where the mafia wasn't like pretty actively involved in some way or another. Mm-hmm. Same thing with sports. Like there's so many aspects of it's an easy way to move a lot of money around. Very few things will offer you the cover of hundreds of millions of dollars. Very few businesses will legitimately offer you that as some kind of cover. But entertainment is a perfect example. Like, think about a movie. How easy would it be to slip in some expenses in a movie that cost $1 billion to make? Very easy. How crazy would it be to kick back somebody some extra money when you're building a football stadium? Hundreds of millions of dollars. It'd be super easy. It'd be really easy.
Yeah, it's been happening. I mean, living in New York, we've talked about how this city was
literally built.
Yeah, literally
the concrete was the mob, and they poured it all.
Yeah, we've talked about it all, and so, I mean, it's so interesting, and that's what I find fascinating. Is just that they know is like, you know what, we're gonna get in debt because we know we're gonna come even in the end, like getting these people in our pockets, getting these players in our pockets, these coaches in our pockets.
Well, from the mob's perspective, that's purely just a good business decision. They don't. The only people ultimately that are going to care about a debt to the mob is the mob. And honestly, the mob at that time, they're not breaking over $300,000. That was just leverage.
Yeah.
It would be okay if they lost it and they had to kill the guy. That they're willing to get. That's how meaningless 300K was to them.
Yes, exactly. Because it's 300 million they're worried about,
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what we're talking about with overseas. That's where it all happens.
So explain. Obviously, the betting regulations are different, but what I have very little idea of what that ecosystem is like in this country. What is that? Explain to me and other people who are ignorant what that means. Like, what is the sports betting realm outside of America? How big amount of, like, what's the amount of money we're talking about?
I mean, it's like, I don't know if I can give a figure, on, betting outside of America versus, in America. But it's just the cobwebs just are removed when you're in another, country, and just the laws don't exist. I mean, for example, a good comparison is just like when you put money in an overseas account, you will do that to avoid all the taxes, like everything here. It's the same thing that they're going to gamble over there because, this Croatian company does not care. Like, they do not care about, taxes. They don't care. They don't care. It's just, I don't know.
The IRS isn't coming knocking at their door. So
yeah. I feel it's us as America making everything super difficult, and we want our hands in everything, and that's, a whole nother topic, but everyone else is like, I don't care. Like, where's the money? Like, let's just get it in. And I think that's where, that is where the money comes from for illegal gambling in the Mafia. It's all overseas because you're talking about, so as we said, just like, these $50,000 bets, these $300,000 bets, you're making those bets in America. You are not making those $50,000 bets outside of America. Like, that's not happening. You are like, if you're gambling outside of America, like, that is where the $50 million bets come in. That's where the $100 million, that's where it comes in, because they're not going to be taxed like that. They're not, it's just
Casino Royale kind of money.
Yeah. It's just so easy to move around. And I just understand that. I was like, yeah, I see it.
So what kind of doubling back at least to how it pertains to America, like there's been a bunch of really intense sports conspiracies that I have followed just for the sake of conspiracy. And one thing I think that might be worth bringing up is like Michael Jordan. So a lot of people have always talked, including people that he played with. He's very competitive. He would bet on anything. He loved making even the craziest bets just for the slim chance of winning and say that he won. And there's like this theory that maybe his dad was because of a ledger he was carrying. Can you kind of explain what you know of that? I know some of it, but I have not gone all the way down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and so honestly, it's because it is Michael Jordan. Like, even in the deep secrets of the internet, even on like Reddit, it's very hard to come by because it's Michael Jordan. Like, it's very tough to come by. But I know we all know he loves gambling. Michael says he loves gambling, and he gambled a lot. He was, the best NBA player. He had the Air Jordan shoes. He was the king of basketball. Then he was playing, baseball. He could just do whatever he wanted, and he was gambling and kind of gloating in a sense. And as what I remember hearing is that, I don't know which family, I don't remember, but he had he owed money. He had a bag and he wasn't paying it, and apparently they killed his father. And that's just the rumor. That's just what you found online. I don't know any other information about that. And afterwards, Michael kind of cleaned up his image, or not his gambling image. We know he still does that. He just doesn't hold debts anymore. And so, and now too, because Air Jordan has worked out, he's a billionaire. So like, and now I think he is the type of person who can legally gamble and lose the overseas money and not care.
Right.
He's the only person, I think, that has that luxury to do that. And so anyway, it's very interesting that Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player, athlete in this, he was so addicted to gambling that he kind of started this black parade, this insight that like, things could be really dark, things could be really dark in the league. And I think also a lot had to do with it just because the league's image, there was the commissioners, the old commissioner, David Stern, was much harsher and he was ruthless. He was the one who blamed Tim Donaghy, saying that it was this sole ref and it was all him.
Yeah.
And the NBA is good. And his name is Phil Scala. He is he worked for the FBI and he handled Tim Donaghy's case. He also handled John Gotti's case when Gotti was. And he looked at Tim Donaghy and he was like, you give me all those lies you want. And he's like, John Gotti sat in that same seat and I took him down. And he's like, you can lie, do whatever you want. Just know John Gotti was in that same seat and I took him down.
Wow, dude, that's intense.
Yeah. Look, so he's in front of Sparks Steakhouse.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for those that don't know, that is where Gotti orchestrated the hit on, was it Joe Bonanno? Who was it?
Paul Castellano.
Paul Castellano. There you go. It happened right outside Sparks Steakhouse, which is why he's there. Also, just for everyone's reference, there is a pretty good doc, a part of the Untold series about Donaghy's, I guess the FBI operation was Operation Flagrant Foul.
It's very good.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Untold series on Netflix, again, because like I'm not a sports person, but I'm also cognizant enough to recognize there is drama there.
Yeah.
There's drama on the surface, like with just institutions, known institutions going against each other, old, like established rivalries. That's classic drama right there, playing out on the gridiron. But then it's also, there's this kind of stuff. There's the stuff that happens in the shadows. And just like with any industry that's as big as professional sports, there's going to be some skeletons. There's going to be some shisty stuff. And honestly, and we'll kind of unpack this here in a bit in a little more depth, but like sports betting now has gotten to a whole different level of crazy. Yeah. And beyond just sports betting, just like how anything can be turned into a bet via Kalshi or any of the other, any of the other sites that exist. But then, the main people in the institution will always say there's nothing wrong with the institution, but any institution that's that big, there's some problems.
There's something's always going to happen, and that's just because we're humans. It's human nature.
Right.
Perfect. Like
it's too many people.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I love like Michael Franzese, the mob guy. He's just like, look, if you want to be a criminal, that's great, but don't tell anybody, and you do it yourself, because I guarantee you tell somebody, you're going to get in trouble. I guarantee. Yeah. So that's just the thing. And if you spread the news, like that's why all these guys got in trouble, recently.
Now, Donaghy's situation, did he ever talk about other people that were connected to it? Or was he like, this is already bad enough, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut? Did he expand on like what the web of that looked like?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, he was a cooperating witness. Like as soon as they told him, like, we got you. Like he was like, all right, let's go. And he talked about it. And he's like, you know what? He's like, it was one of the toughest decisions that I had to do. But then, I had $4 to worry about. And it's just like, you have to do it, And so he cooperated, did everything. He only served like, I think 13 months.
Yeah, it was very light.
Very light, which I mean, that's...
Well, it's white collar crime. The punishments for a lot of that is not that crazy. So,
but still, I mean, just for what he did, and also just how David Stern painted his picture of he's the one ref, he's solely doing this thing. He only got 13 months. Like something's something's there. And so, I don't know. I find Donaghy, like, that was just super interesting in what he did. Like he knew a lot what's going on, but he didn't want to meet the actual mob connections. He was dealing with the middleman, and he saw it all the time. And he's like, this is getting worse and worse and worse. It's like they're coming tighter. They want more information. They want more tips. It's never ending.
Yeah.
And he was so glad. He's like, I'm so glad we got busted. It's like, he's like, I've been doing this forever, or if I quit, they'd kill me. That's what it was.
And he also is in like a hilarious position too, because like he was under no blood oath to not rat.
Right.
Like in any other scenario, they could have really been like, oh, he broke the code, we gotta kill him. But he was a civilian from the beginning. He was not this super smart that he didn't meet those get any closer to that than he needed to be.
Exactly, because that's really, if you look at those what ifs, like that protected him and his family as $4 that he was, concerned about. It's because he had no connection with them that they could be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is wild. That is just kind of a summary of the recent history of this kind of stuff, and what separates it. Okay, so now I want to really get into what separates it from this most recent scandal that has kind of been breaking. Can you kind of give a brief summary of what it is, what it means, and if it goes beyond what is just being talked about now?
So what's happening right now with Chauncey Billups and the NBA, this recent betting scandal, it is different than what Tim Donaghy was involved in, but also it's the same thing, because so it's the sense that the players were making more prop bets, which is, I was talking the points, that, they're going to score 7 points in the fourth quarter,
right.
Those prop bets, those styles. And so, that's what was going on right now. I mean, very interesting. So there's this current player right now. His name is Terry Rozier, and he was playing for the Miami Heat. This is the guy who's $160 million contract and he bets $200,000, and he got in trouble. So he fakes an injury, in March to keep the spread for his friends that he told. And it's like, hey, I have I'm hurting, so you should place the bet here. I mean, there's evidence about that in the text that they have. Like, he's telling his friends, you can do this. And so, and that's right there. That is the wiretap, or the wire fraud. He just committed wire fraud, because
gotcha.
He's crossing state lines. He's sharing inside information. That's there. And so that's where the FBI, I feel, or that's where the FBI kind of just pulled out their microscope and just watched him closer, watched what they were.
That is what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was so Terry was, he got in trouble for doing that prop bet. And then Chauncey Billups, is a Hall of Famer, NBA champion with the Detroit Pistons. They beat the Lakers, Shaq and Kobe Bryant, and for the championship. So he made a name for himself. He was now head coach for the Portland Trailblazers in the NBA. And he was arrested the next morning because he's involved in the gambling. I can't think of the word. I don't know. In this segment right now, and what the FBI is following him for. Because what he did is the mob, or whatever, the mob people that were wanting to get these NBA players on their side, they got Chauncey Billups on their side because they knew he was you recognize Chauncey Billups if you're a sports fan, and they wanted to get all the other athletes to follow Chauncey Billups. And
Gotcha.
So they would have Chauncey Billups set up poker games. He would fix the poker games, and then they would, let's say they're having a 5-person poker game. Chauncey Billups, 4 other athletes are on the side that they're going to fix the poker game. And he brings it this one athlete who has no clue. And he's the one that,
getting rinsed.
Yeah, getting rinsed. And they're cashing in, for he's housing everybody for free drinks and food that night. And so that's what Chauncey Billups got called in for. And that's what's so interesting because we don't really know anything yet. Chauncey Billups hasn't spoken publicly. I think he's still in custody. I think he's in Brooklyn. They were supposed to come. I don't remember. I think it was like the 24th November. He was supposed to come out and say there may be an update. I don't remember on that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just so interesting that Chauncey Billups, this Hall of Famer, this coach, got involved in gambling with this and to bring people in, and he was used. He was like a patsy, he was just used. And and that's where it's just fascinating because something's going to come out. Something's going to happen. Like this is not over. This is the first thing.
Well, it already, even just how you're describing it, it kind of seems like the poker games are like the Michael Francesi guy, like a simple way for you to get people to come into a room, let their guard down.
Yep.
And then like, all right, let them run up a huge debt. And then once they've run up a huge debt, be like, hey, I know you can't pay this or you don't want to pay it, but if you do this other thing for me, then...
Exactly.
Like it's like the entry point. Like
right.
It's just a fishing for who can he get on a hook somehow.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I find that so fascinating because I would think it's like, okay, I think Chauncey Billups knows something. He has to know something. He could be playing stupid. He could be pretending he doesn't know something, but I think he knows something. Like if you don't set up card games to rip somebody off and then be like, well, that's all they were doing is I was helping out my friends to make, like,
right.
You've got to know something. And so I just is so fascinating to me. Like, I'm just like, I want to know what's going to happen.
Well, it is. And it's like, every time that something like this has happened, the Associated Sports League is like, well, this will never happen again.
Right.
Or, it's an anomaly that this was able to happen and we're going to tighten things up even more from here. So it'll never happen again. But it just happens again. Like there's other creative ways for these things to occur, using the previous examples of how the last one got outed as like a way to get around it. The Kalshi thing, the placing bets on whatever kind of deal, really has my interest piqued because it's like before this, there was the traditional sports betting. You had an illegal bookie, or then you were able to use a legitimate sports betting site in territories where it wasn't outlawed. And even then, like, there was still fixing, there was still manipulating of those things. The mob owned Vegas for a while, that's, those bets aren't all above board. But the Kalshi thing is like, now it's like you don't even need to get, it's like, what kind of ball will they use? What color sneakers are most people going to be wearing? It's like, the athletes could get involved and not even have to fix the game.
Right.
Like the score of a game. It's like they put something on their jersey that qualifies this one outlier bet to be, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways to game the system now.
Right.
It just like opens it up. I don't think, because it's never been this way, but I just don't foresee a scenario where people who are naturally competitive, who are used to like big amounts of money and a surefire way that doesn't break their body to make more money, they're probably going to take it.
Yeah.
You know what? Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. And then it comes a thing too. It's like, they're already, how many years you have to imagine that, in high school and college, they're the number one athlete. How many hanger-ons are there? So it's like you get this sense of power and you get this sense of entitlement and you think nothing is going to happen because you're there. And then That's the thing. Everybody else has been doing what you're doing, in this league. So it's going to come out. It's going to come out. I just find it too fascinating for me.
What do you think, like, if you just had to game this scenario out in your mind, what do you think this plays out? Like, how bad could this get?
Oh, this could get really bad. So, okay, so right now, like, we're waiting for Chauncey Billups to come forward, give a public address, talk about something. He hasn't talked about anything in the case or his investigation or what he's going to do. And so I sent you a photo earlier.
Yeah,
pull up this photo of Chauncey Billups. And this is him coming out of the courthouse in Brooklyn, for his, first, court hearing, like his arraignment hearing or whatnot. And he's wearing this hoodie. And it's Klutch Sports Group. And Klutch Sports Group is a sports agency group that is owned by, wait, where's the name? Where did I write it down? Okay. Where did I write this down? Anyways, it's owned by LeBron James is the blanket.
Oh, no.
Yeah. LeBron James is the blanket person who, and one of his best friends, one of his childhood friends, is the president of Klutch Sports Group. And so Chauncey comes out and he's wearing this and everyone's like, oh, oh. And the message that people are thinking is like, LeBron, you better help me, or I'm going to come forward.
Well, and LeBron, who again notoriously has no scandals,
right,
has been surprisingly, yeah, absolutely, of this generation for sure.
Yeah, he's perfect. He's a cookie cutter on what they want, and so that photo to me just says so much that he pulled out Klutch. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's going to happen? What is going to happen? And so that just means something. Because it's, Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups coached, and he's like, LeBron, you got to come help me.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because like in that picture, I'll pull it up again. In that picture, he's not handcuffed.
No.
Right? This isn't what they arrested him in.
Right.
At least it doesn't look like he's handcuffed. He could be, but he probably isn't.
He's not. No, I don't think they're going to handcuff him through the pockets of his hoodie.
So he chose to wear this.
Yes.
Like this is an active decision that he could have chosen not to do, but he did choose to do it. I'd be inclined to agree with you. This, especially, like, I'm going to assume this is also his legal team.
Yeah.
These people, this walk right here, this is a known thing. These people right here will tell their client, we're about to get our pictures taken, so make sure you look presentable. Make sure you don't talk to them. Like, this is not a thing that they're just like, oh, wow, people are out here taking pictures?
Yeah. They didn't walk outside and be like, oh, we're surprised.
That really does mean something. I didn't know. I guess I had heard somebody, some news pundit talking about how this might get back to LeBron, but I didn't realize it was 1 degree of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And I have no idea how LeBron is involved. I have no clue, but it's the fact that he's pulling on that string, it's just like, you don't pull that
is a message that's like, help.
Yeah.
Help, or you're coming down with me.
Yeah. You don't pull on that string and then not deliver, like there's something there. And it's, I don't know. It's just very fascinating and interesting.
Dude, this is what I was talking about before. This is like the real, apart from the drama that happens on the court or on the field, this, like, sports, just like with entertainment, is full of these. and they kind of get washed out. And of course, the PR for NBA, NFL is incredible. Like, lots of money is spent to make sure stories like this get suppressed as quickly as possible, or don't ever come up at all. But like, this, I don't know. I didn't realize it was so close to LeBron. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
it's wild. Like hearing, you're not a sports person, but it's like, that could affect LeBron.
Yeah.
You know what that
would be huge.
That's massive. Like that is so massive. There was something about, oh man, I have to see on my notes that I took. Oh, that's right. So this is a thing. So, okay, the NFL just recently, past few years, the Oakland Raiders became the Vegas Raiders. They moved the team to Vegas. That happened in the NFL. The NBA wants a team in Vegas. Michael Jordan owned the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we've all compared LeBron to Jordan. So they're like, LeBron is the next person to own a team that everyone will flock to and they'll do. And they really want, it hasn't come out, because you can't have like evidence basically that the NBA is convincing and telling LeBron, to do this. Vegas, right. But it's like, they want a team in Vegas because they know the money that they're going to get from a team in Vegas. And then that's where, so Klutch Sports Group is run by his friend, Rich Paul, who, as I said, was one of his childhood friends that they grew up. And LeBron is just like the ghost, president. And it's just very interesting. It's like, he wants to bring a team to Vegas. Like, he wants to do it. Like, LeBron he's probably got a few years left, I think, in his NBA career.
Sure. Yeah.
That's where they're talking about it. And,
this guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This guy. And so, that's where they're talking about it. Cause probably in 5 years time, I would think that they'd hope to have a team in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. When I heard about that, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, the soap opera drama it's just so good. No, it's just
for sure, especially with the money running through it now. Like, it's just like amounts of money that normal people, we can't even conceptualize, because we'll never see that amount of money in our lifetime.
Right. This is just, I don't know. So I don't know. It's a juicy picture with Chauncey wearing that Klutch hoodie, but we don't know what it means. We just know that there's something bigger going to come.
Yeah,
there's something bigger going to come.
And honestly, like this, we know this from all the mob cases. The FBI isn't after one person.
Right.
That's not what the FBI does. The FBI goes after systems of corruption, systems of crime. And they try and take down the whole system, the whole organization. So if the FBI is already involved, it means they've been, you said a lot of the stuff that he's being charged with was from 2022 to 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've been monitoring since at least then. And the only reason they went full arrest and talking about it on the news is because they already probably have enough to sink a couple people.
1,000%.
That's just that's how they do that.
Right. And also, this is what was very interesting. So the NBA, Chauncey Billups, nobody knew these arrests were coming. Nobody knew these arrests were coming. And even the press conference, they said that they didn't want to coordinate with the NBA till that was happening. They wanted to be a surprise. And this is because with Tim Donaghy and David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA, he was like, he is the lone wolf. He is the one who did it. Go after him. Do not go after my league. And I think that the FBI is like, well, we've gone down this road before. We're not going to. Nobody knew anything. Like, it's nuts. Like, the commissioner, Adam Silva, like he had no clue. He had no clue. Like I remember watching sports that morning and just, it was coming, like it was talking about it. Like, you know, it was, football season started, you know, it was all these things, just like for you to hear NBA news after like, you know, Sunday football, like that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It's gotta be news.
Yeah. And so I was like, whoa, like this is juicy. I'm just wanting to hear about yesterday's game, and wow, I did not know this was happening. Holy cow.
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right. They certainly they didn't want to, because it's kind of like when you hear the story about how they were able to pin it all on Donaghy, even from Donaghy's story, it's not just Donaghy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's clear that there was some multiple levels of higher organization.
Right.
But I remember watching that untold and being like, the FBI really didn't look into that any further. They just took that guy's word. That's not what they normally do.
Yeah. And I don't know. And I think because maybe they were able to take it as a win because they heard about Tim Donaghy happening because of a wiretap they had on a Gambino crew.
Right.
And that's the only reason they found out about Tim Donaghy.
It was an easy win.
It was,
like, oh yeah, we can just.
Yeah, it was an easy win. And I think they just took it as like, oh, it's this one guy because we weren't even expecting this, you know?
Yeah.
And so they just took it. And I think now it's just different.
Well, I mean, all the people that are involved are deeply entrenched in the sports industry, like even to a level higher than just a referee. And you know, I'm not minimizing referees. They're obviously super important in games like that. But you already have like somebody who's in charge of one of the bigger booking agent or talent agencies, like is our sports talent agents.
Right. Like I
and then
think
the people that it's connected to are literally some of the biggest players, if debatably the biggest players in the NBA. It's like cutting in a little bit further than Donaghy.
Yeah, no, for sure, because that was the thing, and I think that's why Donaghy feels like, you know, what he did like isn't as harmful as what's happening right now. Which I mean,
oh really? He's spoken on that?
Yeah.
He's like, see, at least it wasn't as bad.
Well, what
I was doing wasn't as this.
Because his justification is like, what he was doing was just, he traded inside information. He didn't do anything, talk to people, pay people off for this, do anything. He just got inside information and
passed it along.
So these players are, I mean, they're faking injuries, you know, like it's different. And so he's like, I did not do that. Like, this is, you know, more collusion than anything. But also it's like, I told you earlier, it's like, the money on these bets now was $600,000, you know, in the past couple of years. And with Donaghy, it was 81 million. So, right. I mean, there's a difference, you know, and that's the thing too. Like, I think because refs, so it's a thing. It's like the refs are looking after the corporation, right? Like they're like little pawns of the corporation.
Employees of the NBA or whatever. Yeah.
And so, I mean, like the best ref, let's say you work a NBA finals game, you're going to get paid $500,000 a year. I mean, that's great money, but I mean, that's not 160 million, you know, that's not so it's just very different in what these athletes and players can do, and just the talk and belief that they have, and just thinking that they can just do whatever they want and not with no consequences. Like it's baffling to me.
Well, you bring up a good point too. And I think this gets overlooked a lot. We're not even scratching the like we're just talking about pro level. We haven't even really gone into like the same level of stuff that happens at the college level.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother.
So much, right? There is so much shisty business that goes on, where players aren't supposed to get paid, but the coaches are figuring out a way to pay them under the table, or have there be some kind of exchange for their labor, even as students, covering up crimes, paying off local police forces, like and that's not even getting to the that they probably got away with in their hometown in high school from being the football star and being, everyone in town knowing him. We got to beat our rival school. We can't let him go to jail for drunk driving. Like, there are probably millions of stories that of like smaller level, this stuff happening. So when you and I are talking about like sports figures feeling invincible, I think it's difficult for a lot of people, most people, to understand, but their whole life, because of their sports acumen, they have been coddled or they have been protected in ways that normal people who weren't on the sports team, who weren't, the headquarter of the favorite high school team or whatever, we wouldn't know. And bottom line is, like, dude, in every aspect of the entertainment industry, people that you know and love are probably involved in some sinister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if do you follow that blog? It's called Crazy Days and Nights.
No.
Okay, so this is obscure, dude. I'm about to put you onto some. So, Crazy Days and Nights is this blog that's been posting forever. It's been out there forever. As long as the internet has been there, Crazy Days and Nights has been here spilling the tea. Now, no one knows who runs this site, even to this day, but it is supposedly a high-power entertainment attorney or PR person in LA, somebody who knows all the dirt.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll do these things called blind items. They don't name names in a post. They'll say that every celebrity will have like a nickname that is relevant to what they do but doesn't divulge who they are. So the blind items will come out and say so-and-so is supposedly in this terrible situation. And then in a couple weeks or a couple months, they'll reveal who the blind item was about. And the accuracy is stunning. I'm surprised you haven't heard about this. You need to. So Crazy Days and Nights, they all obviously cover like modern scandals in entertainment, sports. But they will also do this thing like, I think most people are just hilariously unaware, like even in Hollywood, those old secrets, they're not secrets. They're people that were aware. There were people that were alive that saw it. And there's a bunch of weird stuff from the 30s to the 60s and 70s that's like people getting away with accidentally overdosing somebody or, doing stuff with children. It's not a new thing. It's always been like that.
Right.
But Crazy Days and Nights, you have to check it out because they'll talk about the modern scandals, but then they will also talk about like Brando and, Goldwyn Mayer, like the guys who found MGM. Like there's so many like amazing scandals and nobody's been able to confirm who this person is, but the stuff that can be like the stuff that comes out, dude, that blog was talking about it 2 years ago with the same level of accuracy that, and New York Times writes an article with or whatever. Awesome. Yeah, you have to check it. I'm sure there will be some stuff about this, especially if this goes beyond just what this guy was doing. If there's any layer, well, again, the FBI does not arrest single individuals. They go after organizations. Yeah. And even the single individuals that they do go after, the FBI's most wanted list, most of those people were heads of criminal organizations.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So they're not arresting this guy. if they're arresting him, it means they've already got anything that they would want to put him away. They already got it. They don't need to get any more. Other people have not been arrested yet, maybe because the investigation is still going. But even so, like the FBI won't publicly come out and make an arrest like that unless they're already deeply entrenched. This was happening 2 years ago, and I'm sure 2 years ago, none of them thought the FBI was wiretapping their.
None of them did, because that's the thing. Like I say, Terry Rozier, like, he just thought he was telling his friend,
right?
Text is like, yeah, do this and we'll make some money. It'll be fun. He had no clue. And it's just, it's wild to me. I want to go back real quick on what you just made me think of, with like celebrities getting in trouble and just how the public, we view them differently. O.J. Simpson. Perfect example.
Yeah. Like the pinnacle of
the perfect example on, there's two sides to a story, like what really happened and what, we were told and believed, at that time. And that's I just saw that and I was like, yep, that's pretty much it right now. Like that's where we are. Is like these guys, like, it's just going to keep coming out. It's going to keep coming out. And I'm here for it. I want my popcorn. Like, I'm ready. I don't really have like any, major admiration for this. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but yeah, I'm ready to hear some juice. Like I want to, because this is great. This is where I think you and I bond and talk about this all the time, because it's just people who think they're never going to get in trouble and then get in trouble. Like that's what this is. That's what this is, and that's why it's so appealing to us.
Well, it's just so ridiculous, because like, yeah, you and I have sat down and like armchair analyzed a million crimes or scenarios like this, but it's like, you'd think they were good at covering their tracks at one point, but then they just start getting, it's like, of all the stories that exist of this, when is it ever? And then the cops started paying less attention the more we did. You know what I mean? Like, when does that never happens. They're only paying, so you should only get more suspicious about your own behavior and how to cover your tracks, not less. But yeah, I don't know, with a million examples. Well, but even going back to that, like, very few people know about scandals in the sport. You're one of the only people I know that is knowledgeable on the sports scandals. Even people that I know that are into sports, they couldn't tell you about Donaghy. Like, they're just not even aware of it, because they have like this Disney colored set of glasses on where it's like, oh, it's the NBA, it's FIFA. These places are not capable of being. But it's like, you look, you look into the history of any of those orgs, and FIFA especially, but F1, like any of the entertainment, sports entertainment, that's a lot. It's big money, and
massive.
And like, to think that in that whole organization there isn't somebody that's trying to game the system for their own personal benefit is silly, because, like you were saying, that's what humans do. That's what we do.
That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we were taught about doing. That's how we live life.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just, it's so intriguing and fascinating about this, because like, this isn't even like the start of Christmas morning. This is like a week before Christmas, and we're just anticipating and ready. Like, stuff hasn't even, hit the fan broken yet. Like, it's
how, like, in your mind, like, how dirty does this get? Are we seeing like a lot of people get arrested? Are we seeing only the people at the top get arrested? Are we seeing, like, even when you're talking about the games, you're right, that's chump change. What's who's making the real money here? And how much money is that if the chump change stuff is hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, I
mean, I think that's where it's the lump sum big picture It's the organization, the mob, whoever has control over these athletes is making the lump sum. They're the ones profiting, Sure, like Terry Rozier, for example, they make a $200K bet, split it between 5 guys, whatever.
For those guys, not that much money.
It's not that much money. It's, he is hundreds of $millions in the bank, but who doesn't love free money,
Right.
So, what are you going to do about that? Like, I ask myself, what are you going to do as humans? They have so much money. What are you going to do? How can you stop that? And I just don't think you can. And I am very fascinated to see what could come out of this, because I don't think I think we're at like a level 3 out of 10 on what we're going to find out. Cause it's just breaking, like nothing has happened yet. And so, I'm just very interested, and I really want to hear the news, especially with LeBron and that whole thing with the NBA.
And LeBron hasn't said
team in Vegas. Like, LeBron hasn't said
anything. Gotcha.
He hasn't said a word. And because why should he? Because it's only, it's word of mouth. He has a middleman. He's smart to have a middleman, but it's like, we know how you're connected to the middle. So it's like, we have to know. So yeah, he hasn't said anything, doesn't need to say anything. I'm just very excited, and I want to see the drama, the juice, and what's going to come out, because the NBA wanted a team in Vegas, and they're like, LeBron's going to be the perfect person to do this. Let's help him do this. And then it's just,
if this comes out that he's in any way involved, it disrupts that whole plan.
It is done. It is done. And honestly, if that happens, we could see the NBA shut down like it did, when they went on strike in the 7th. Like, they were saying, they were saying if what I was talking about, where LeBron and his sports manager, like, if he's involved, they're saying the NBA can go back to the 70s before Bird and Magic.
Wow. Dude.
That's how involved, that's, how celebrity the NBA has become.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's like, okay, so we'll just remove it. And that's what would happen, really. And it's crazy to think about and fathom. It's just like, oh my gosh, that's just wild.
Well, I think there's elements of, like, when I see how much players are getting paid, especially in the past 10 years, I'm like, this looks like bubble stuff. Like, there's no way this is sustainable. Like, I know every player doesn't get that much, but like, it went from there being a fair amount of money in it and players getting virtually nothing to now, like, star players getting $500 million contracts. To me, it's just like, that is not sustainable. That can't continue to happen.
Right.
It can't exponentially get higher and higher. At some point, there isn't enough money. There's something weird going on here. But again, like, for a lot of the people that own teams, it's just a tax thing. They have a lot of money, and what's a way to make it look like they made more money? Well, they spend a bunch of money on a sports team, and that hemorrhages money. And
it's in the sense of just branding. It does well for the team. It does well to attract other players. It's like, oh, if this team just signed Stephon Curry to $300 million, I think I can play like Stephon Curry.
Gotcha.
So I might as well go try. So it just creates that market. That branding market, I feel. And yeah, I don't know. I'm so interested to see what comes out between Chauncey and LeBron. Like, after him wearing that hoodie, like, there is just,
the hoodie thing is, wearing that hoodie for your perp walk is intense,
dude. That is that.
That's real intense.
I like with that. That's amazing. It's amazing.
It's like, come bail me out.
Yeah.
Like, come bail me out because I'll start pointing out where those bodies are buried.
I mean, it's a thing. So I just thought of this in Major League Baseball. I can't remember the guy's name, but the Japanese baseball player Oshani Tahana, he recently was in trouble by the MLB because he's Japanese and he was gambling and all that stuff. And basically, he just got a fall guy. And so that's...
Oh, yeah, I did hear about this.
He just got a fall guy. And that's what they're talking about LeBron is doing with, was it Rich Paul? Like that. Yeah. These are their fall guys. And so that's what they're just talking about. Like, that's what's so interesting to me.
So can you explain the Shohei Ohtani situation again? Because as you're describing that, I do remember that happening, but I don't remember the details.
I don't really have all the information and particulars about that, but Shohei Ohtani, I mean, he's they just won the World Series. You know, I mean, he's one of the best baseball players out there right now from Japan. He's huge, he's massive, and just he got in trouble for it was just gambling, and it was very like, you know, third rate. You know, this was like the third like sports headline. It was like, oh, Oshani Ohtani and, you know, being investigated for gambling, and then it just comes out. It was like, oh, it was his childhood
assistant
friend. Yeah. Like, oh, that's who did it. He's taking the fall. It's like, and so he took the fall for it, and everything's gone. So it wasn't proven, but like everybody knows, it's like, if, you know, if it looks like a fish, if it smells like a fish, it's probably a fish, you know?
Yeah, right.
And that was the thing, is we've all seen this before. We've all seen this before in the sense, just, and who isn't gonna, I would step up for Oshani Tahana and be like, I'll take the fall. Like, yeah, I know I'm gonna have a big bank account when I get out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
You know? I mean, like, rappers do this. Like,
for sure. You know, yeah.
Someone for Biggie took a fall. You know, it's like this happens all the time. And so I just know, like,
Shine. Puff Daddy, right. Shine. Yeah.
Shine. Yeah, exactly. Shine took the fall. Like, I mean, yeah. And so I that went under the radar, I feel. And I feel it was the timing, because if that came out after this, I think he would be in trouble. There'd be so many more microscopes being looked at.
Oh, for sure.
Because also, too, I think the MLB is like the worst of professional sports, where there's like anything can happen there, because there's no cap like in the NFL and like with the NBA, where you know, a team is, you have a certain amount of money to pay, right? The Major League Baseball, there's no cap. You can do anything. And so there is a free amount of money in this market, and it's just so hard to keep track of and see what's happening. And so there's a lot of gambling. I think there's a lot of gray area stuff that goes under the radar in baseball, because there's no cap, because there's so much money being flown around, being transferred, all that stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, you know, I just love how all of these institutions have become like this indelible part of America or Americana. But when you like actually do a forensic audit of these things, it's like, again, like very, very corrupt. Going back to the very beginning, there's always some kind of manipulation afoot, and with the more money that gets involved in it, it just becomes crazier. You know, kind of like what I was saying before with like the Kalshi type bets, where it's not like a spread of a game. It's like so and so will be wearing this shirt, or these color socks. It's like that to me. Yeah, I don't. Bets. Where there will be a Kalshi and sports, like there are for sure right now members of those organizations, players who are doing things like that, and making money off it. There will be a scandal about this for sure. In 10 years time, there will be one.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I mean, that's what we know about this. And I feel that's what was really interesting, hearing Tim Donaghy talk about, everyone's interviewing Tim Donaghy right now to talk about this, right? And he's the one, basically like, yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg right here. They haven't even begun to pull out all the deep, lunges that are in there. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's what I just find just so fascinating, that there's a tip of the iceberg with like Hall of Fame player. Like this just blows my mind. This just blows my mind. Like it's different, I get it. It's like Terry Rozier. Sure, he's a great player. He has a huge contract, but he's not a champion. He's not going to go to Hall of Fame. So it's like, all right, yeah, you let that go under the radar. But like Chauncey Billups, LeBron, like this is a big deal. I feel if they get LeBron if they can make some news out of that,
it'll be a field day. Yeah.
We'll have to have another talk.
Well, we're going to have to, like, once, obviously we're going to be on like a 2-year timer, like the FBI, whenever they decide, if this does go to trial, it'll probably be like a year or two from now. So we'll have to do a postmortem, but it will come out in the same way that all this came out with Diddy. Witnesses get called. You start hearing stories and you start seeing the evolution of a much more complex picture, which kind of brings me to this question, which I want to make sure I ask you. We've talked a lot about the orgs, like Mafia operating within the orgs or corrupting people within the orgs. But there's also like this sideways story where the orgs itself are involved in in game fixing, right? Especially when you get down to the championship. They want to have the bigger names in there. Whatever basketball teams, whatever football teams are really popping off, they want them to make it to the final for the sake of a good show. And then even the debate of like, maybe the winner of the championship is already decided. And I'm interested if like, what is your take on that element? Do you think the corruption goes, it isn't just the mafia or a few corrupt individuals? Like, do you think it could potentially go all the way up to NBA, NFL, even NHL, fixing games to ensure the biggest viewership, fixing who wins
1,000%.
To benefit the league? You don't think they're above that?
1,000%. I mean, and I say this just from Tim Donaghy, just because I've done so much research on him. And I mean, he was saying, because how he was providing that, it's like, I'm not the only person. I'm not the lone rat. Like, everybody did this. Like, he was saying he was reffing the playoff series. It's the conference championship series between the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. And the Lakers were winning, and they were going to win in game 6. And Tim Donaghy said somebody from the top of the league, he didn't name any names, but they came down to the refs and they were like, you guys need to make this go to 7 because we're going to get so much more money.
Yeah.
We're going to get so much more billions of dollars for this. And he's like, I extended that series to 7. That's what he said. I extended it to 7. And I was like, oh my God. So, wow. That's where it's like, I don't believe that, lone wolf theory. Like, I don't believe it. It's not one person. Like, absolutely not.
Not in an org that big.
No.
It's never just one person.
Yeah.
Not in an org that big. I that doesn't sound crazy to me at all, because it's wrestling, dude. It's professional wrestling. That's all. It's from the business perspective of, if we have the option to make this go 7 over 6 and we're going to make billions more dollars, we're making it go to 7. I don't care if the team wins in 6.
Right.
We're going to 7 because that's, from a business perspective, that's too much money to just pass up.
Yeah. It's too much money to pass up. Yeah.
So like with that lens in mind, how accurate, like how, when we look back at the list of champions, how many of those are influenced, and even if it's just one, that's bad because it calls all of them into question.
So from what I understood from what Tim Donaghy would say is, so when he extended that series from 6 to 7, he was like, still, I made sure, like, it was my goal that the team that was going to win, where he extended it, was going to win the 7th game.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to change, makes, this lesser seeded team into the finals when they didn't really deserve it, So that, I believe, it's a very thin line I feel you walk, where it's just like, you don't want to put too much influence on it, but you want to put too much influence on it, so then you can fatten your pockets and rich in your pockets. It's a very fine line, because I don't know, I feel like I get it, whereas I'm all about the sportsmanship, the competitive nature of sports. And, if I were a ref, like, that's what I would want. But then also, if I were a ref and I could do this, I'm like, well, I'm going to expend it, and I'm going to make sure that it's going to go down to the wire. But the team that I knew was winning is going to win. Sure, they should have won by 50 points, but I'll make them win by 5 points just to keep it entertaining.
Right.
I think that has been happening since sports started.
Yeah.
I just don't see how that is not happening. I just don't see how that can't happen. And also because there's so many other people making decisions for you or controlling you, or kind of like, inflicting a concern or fear is like, hey, you need to do this, or else, I think there's that. And so people will do it. People will do it. I don't think there's ever been a case where there's been a referee who stands on as like, I will not do that.
Yeah. I
don't think there's ever been a case.
Yeah. Especially at the top, at that level. Yeah. I'd be inclined to agree with you. They're employees of a multi-billion-dollar business, and they'll do what they're told to make sure their paycheck.
They'll do what they're told. And also, I think too, you have to look that these are individuals that are referees. So they, in a sense, are athletes and have that competitive nature. So it's the same thing that, NBA players would have on not wanting to give up, and how they can get in debt to somebody,
by gambling or something.
They just keep losing because they're on that. And so I just feel that, I don't know. It's just so big. Well,
that's the thing is it is big, and it's entertainment. Like, people, we can say all the things that we want to say about modern sports, but it's entertainment, and it's presented as entertainment. Those businesses are entertainment companies, and they know it. Mm-hmm. There's just too much money, and the fact that it's entertainment, for this to be a completely, uninfluenced situation. There are so many, I don't know about sports, but when I'm sitting watching a game with people that do know about sports, every game there's like, well, that's a nonsense call. Mm-hmm. That's a bad call. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a time where everyone was like, yep, all the calls in here, I agree with them.
Right.
It's, I can't help but think that even though some of those people are just armchair refs, that they're also not onto something. Because even as an ignorant person, I have definitely watched games understanding the rules where I know them and being like, well, that was an unfair call. Mm-hmm. Even after the replay, that's a pretty bad call. Why are they making that bad call? But it also does make sense why the NBA guy was like, it was just Tim Donaghy.
Yeah.
You don't need to look into anyone else, because if they did that, it probably would have imploded the entire org.
Right. And I find this very interesting. So you're saying with that commissioner, David Stern, was the commissioner of the NBA when Tim Donaghy, when he ratted out Tim Donaghy. And when Tim Donaghy was in trouble.
This guy? This guy, right?
Yeah. And when Tim Donaghy was in trouble, he was talking to Phil Scalia. And Scalia, he was saying, he's like, yeah, you're sitting in the same chair that Gotti was sitting. And he's like, listen, I've talked with David Stern, and that dude is a mob boss. I don't understand how he is a mob boss. Like, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
What billions of dollars does. That's what power does. That's what it does. And it was, let's see where's this quote? Because I remember I wrote it down. I'm going to see if I can find it. But he just talked about how just like, don't trust David Stern. He's like, this is it's an image that he puts on. And I mean, too, like there's, oh gosh, I won't get into it, but I mean, David Stern did some questionable with like trades. I remember, Chris Paul was on the New Orleans Hornets, and he was traded to the Lakers, and everyone was like, how did this happen? And then someone dug up that David Stern had like a minority ownership of the Lakers. And it was like, are you like,
shocker?
Yeah. Like, wow. And then this was actually impressive. The league fought back, and there was they didn't let that trade go through. And so Chris Paul was then traded to the Houston Rockets. And so then that's where that happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is wild. That's wild.
Yeah, well, and that's what I mean to say too by like all of or you had said it, the soap opera drama. Like, I'm sure there's a whole level to this that is just rich people being petty. Like, there's an element to all professional sports, at least in America, where it's just rich people being petty.
Yeah.
Or I get like, we like to look at sports as like this infallible institution, like this thing that represents people trying their hardest, but like history will show that people are always trying to get a competitive edge, whether it's with steroids, ridiculous illegal insider trading, like situations that benefit private individuals. The same level of corruption that's occurring in the government is occurring here.
Yeah.
And there's at least a portion of that is just rich people being petty.
Yeah.
But that's like so deep within the lore. I don't know if we might hear about it on a place like Crazy Days and Nights, but I'd be inclined to agree with you. I think any of the owners of any of the teams, those guys consider themselves to be untouchable at a level that is even above any sports star that they represent.
I think I just thought of this. So like all sports owners of teams, they are the spitting image of that South Park character where they fart in a glass and smell their own fart.
Oh, yeah, that's from San Diego. Yeah.
That is sports owners. That's what they do, because they'll never make them. They're perfect. They never make a mistake.
I thought you were going to say the NCAA episode. We won't get into it, but those are both great episodes. But yeah, they sniff their own farts. They think nothing could smell better.
They think nothing will happen to them because they own the Yankees. It's like it's nuts. It's delusion, and it just blows my mind. My mind is so literal. I just don't understand how somebody could just ignore what's happening to him right in front of the face. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, well, sadly, even as this thing develops, as we learn more about it, I'm sure, like, there's a component of it that feels a little bit like Diddy. Like, there's a component where it's like, oh, hammer's coming down, but we know this ain't the end. whatever hammer came down, that's not the final hammer. That's the first one, and there's gonna be like waves of this.
Yeah.
You know, again, as a person who doesn't necessarily follow sports or follow sports news, when I see that in my news feed, that's big. Like, it must be big. It is certainly going to be significant, and it's going to be really interesting to see like how far up the food chain it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Because when a corporation like a league, for example, cannot, protect their league, and they blame it on a lone rat, it's big. It is going to be massive, and that's because they just can't control it. And as I said too, like, the NBA had no idea this was coming. They had no idea this was coming, and so that.
Well, and the context that you gave about Donaghy, that this is why I wanted to do this episode, because I was like, there is something that is different about this time than about that time, and the context that you give there. I, even after watching that Untold, I think it completely went over my head that the FBI didn't scratch further down that rabbit hole. But the fact that they didn't inform the NBA at all this time, that means that NBA is part of, there are at least levels of the investigation that are prodding into the financials and inner workings of the org.
Oh yeah. No, it's just trying to like wrap my brain around this. I just can't believe this is happening. Like, I just can't believe this is happening. Like, I think too, it's because, as you said, we all know this is happening, but it's never been proven. And then now it's like, wow, it's being proven. Like, they're doing it. Oh my gosh. Like, wow. So.
Well, and dude, like, if they took the same microscope to the NFL, I'm sure they would find some. If they took the same microscope to any similar international institution, they'd find the same stuff. FIFA is a grand example, but so,
so I think too, also, like, politics has a lot to do with why the FBI was investigating NBA. Because Adam Silva, the new commissioner, he is so much like lighter and warmer than David Stern. And he wants players he's helping players, he's helping other teams. Like, he's a more progressive commissioner. And the NFL is practically run by Jerry Jones, who we all know is best friends with Donald Trump. It's so I think in a way that the NFL kind of has like this protective bubble shield around them right now.
Sure. Yeah. Right now.
Now, because like, hey, you guys are paying your taxes to the right people. We're going to not investigate and let anything happen. All this other, we're going to go in. And I look at it too, because Kash Patel, the guy for FBI, he's a doucher, right?
Yeah, he's the least effective person in that position in the history of that position.
That's where it's like, wow, like, look what he's doing. Like, I don't know. To me, it goes deeper in that sense, where it's like, if you want to look at like politically, like, this is deeper in that sense, where it's like, I think they're kind of exposing this because they know that they didn't have the full support of the NBA.
Yeah. Well, again, rich people being petty. Like, that's what I'm saying. There is at least a layer of this that is just rich people being petty, and, the people, other people getting caught in the crossfire. But yeah, I don't think at this point, with how deeply entrenched corporations are to the American political system, I don't think there is any separation. Like, the idea that they exist in completely separate entities that's not the case.
Yeah.
There is, and especially now, the people in charge are being anything but subtle about their desire for people to pledge their allegiance, and the people that pledge their allegiance, or companies that pledge their allegiance, kind of get whatever they want, and the ones that don't get the shaft. So
exactly.
I'm right there with you.
I know you
totally,
are. I know you are.
You know,
Yeah.
especially the past 2 years too. Like I remember last year at the Super Bowl, man, I've never seen so many people talk about the Super Bowl being rigged ever in my life. I've seen people talk about it, but last year, all of my social media feeds were full of this is rigged. The NFL's over. This is so clearly rigged. Like the public sentiment was pretty nuts.
So, I mean, I guess in that sense I think that I don't think the game was rigged. I think what was rigged were the teams getting there, the teams who got there.
Sure.
So
yeah.
like the Kansas City Chiefs, we all know what we think, how the NFL views them. I mean, those are ones that I remember watching those games last year. I'm like, are you serious? You made this call on Monday Night Football?
Yep.
Ballsy. What?
Yep.
Like, and then that's where they went to the Super Bowl because they wanted the Chiefs to go, you know? And I'm glad that they got their ass kicked and they lost, you know? But to me, I was like, so yeah, it was rigged in a sense because it was a rematch too of the Chiefs and Eagles. And, you know, it was, I think the year before the rematch. And I mean, it was rigged in a sense where they wanted the Chiefs and the Eagles to play. They wanted the Chiefs and the Eagles to play. And I totally believe that was rigged because I remember last year just like watching these games, like watching the Chiefs win. And I'm like, I cannot believe that they're doing that. Like, I can't believe it.
It was at least my understanding. Like when I would think before I had the knowledge of the context that you've kind of put me on to, my understanding was that, the road to the championship was rigged. There for sure is a person on the payroll of those organizations who's doing the numbers to see which two teams would bring in the most money.
Yeah.
That is a component of that business. If you think that it isn't, you're naive.
Right. No, it is. It's,
And it's at some point when the disparity is billions of dollars, the person in charge is like, make sure those two teams that's what's going to make, from a business perspective.
Right.
I'm being not a good owner or, you know, CEO, president of this company if I'm saying we shouldn't do that. So I am saying make sure it gets there. And I guess that's probably why I was seeing so much of that in my feed. But yeah, dude, like that, it completely makes sense. Like, and we can't even be mad at the corporation because that's what corporations are supposed to do. They're supposed to make money.
Right. And I think, you know, we're feeling this now just because of technology. You know, this shit has been happening forever.
The whole
In
time,
the 50s,
right?
The 60s, we wouldn't fucking know. We have no clue. You know, but it's technology that's like opening our eyes and showing us. And this is,
well, text messages, emails.
Yeah.
Beyond that, like even just the amount of, like in the 50s, you'd have one camera view of a football, of any sports game, if you got to see it, if it wasn't on the radio. Like that was your view.
Right.
Now there are thousands.
Right.
Like there are thousands of cameras inside the stadium that are also taking videos.
There's a camera in the end zone pylon.
Right. So like pulling some of the stuff that they maybe pulled in previous years doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now there's a feed for everything, and people who are going to scrutinize every even those bad calls. I'm sure there's a social media account where all he does is like watch this in slow-mo and be like, see, look, now the ref is looking to this guy over here who's so-and-so, and he's giving him the signal. That's what it is, you know, which didn't exist until recently. But yeah, this, I don't know, dude. I was not excited to see this, but I was excited that it meant we could have a nerd out fest about it.
Right.
Because this, I agree with you. I think this is tip of the iceberg stuff.
Oh, it's tip of the iceberg right here. And like, it's just tip of the iceberg. I'm so excited that there's more like presence in a sense to come. Like I just can't wait for this buffet, you know. I want the juice. And then also just because it's like, Whereas, like, I want the juice to rub it in the face of all those billionaires who were smelling their glasses and they're smelling their farts, thinking that we're two stupid plebes and we're not going to see what's going. That's what I want. That's what I want. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity. So please don't take this from me.
Well, we will for sure be sniffing this fart for years to come, definitely into the future. I just want to thank you again for coming on here and like giving me the rundown of the context of what got us here and then kind of explaining what is happening now.
Yeah.
And absolutely, as this plays out, as it goes to trial or stuff comes out, we'll do a companion to this, because I would not be surprised if this is not that it ties back to Diddy, but if it unfolds the same way that Diddy's situation unfolded. People thought it was one thing and then it was like, oh, whoa.
I think that
this is something way worse.
That's a great analogy and similarity right there. I mean, this is going to be like Diddy. It's going to, you think it's top of the cake is and then you investigate and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
it's been going on for years. How much baby oil did he buy?
Right. Right. There's tunnels.
Yeah.
He's got tunnels under his house. Yeah.
What? Yeah. So I believe that there will be things that are coming out in that, just like how Diddy did in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be here for it.
Yes, but no, it was great coming on here, and I love nerding out about Mafia and sports, and oh my god, I can do
it, dude. It's the perfect combo.
Yeah.
It's like we have to do this.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I'm so glad that I'm your first person to call whenever there's like a sports drama.
Dude, you're. I'm telling you, you're the resident expert.
Yeah,
there, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, thank you again for doing this. Super fun. Always a blast. For everyone out there listening, this has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and take a minute to stop and smell your local billionaire's farts. All right, we'll catch you later.
That's
See
right.
y'all.
This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. The end. With your host, James Oliva. Executive producers, Clint G and James Oliva. That's obnoxious. Sound design, mix, and master by James Oliva. Literally no one cares. For more Totally Legitimate Business, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Totally Legitimate Business or add us on TikTok at TLB Pod. When will this end? Thank you for listening. Now get back to work. Move it along, buddy.